Very good afternoon to all our viewers out there. This afternoon we bring a topic before us titled The Elements in the Accomplishment of Dreams. This is more of an extension of the realities on dreams. Of course, like we said earlier on, before now, we said so many people have dreams to fulfill. A lot of us have dreams to accomplish, but only few are ready to do what it takes to get the dreams fulfilled. So this afternoon we are going to be looking at or considering some elements, more like that, just like I said. This is an extension of the initially analyzed points, but in a more elaborate form. And we are going to be considering, or our case study will be looking at an animal called lion. Of course, we all know the lion is the head of all animals in the land, in the kingdom. I took my time to read through and analyze some key features of what makes a lion the bravest, and not just the bravest, the kings of all animals. And back to our point, we said we are going to be looking at the elements in the accomplishment of dreams. The first is teamwork. Of course, you will come to accept with me that what two or more people do, there's more of an efficiency than when it is carried out by an individual. The point is furtherly analyzed by an initial point I gave in my first video, which is adding people to your cards. Just like I said earlier on, you need to add people, you need to add some group of people in the course of your dream. Take for instance the lion, like I said. The lion, it has been discovered that lions are known for group hunting. Lions, when they want to hunt their prey, there's this collective hunting. There's this group hunting. It has even been recorded that there's high degree of success when lions grouply hunt than when a single lion decides to hunt. Proud to this fact, I am here to tell you that mostly you need to add people to get some dreams fulfilled. Like I said initially, it's not that you're not sufficient enough for yourself, but you need to add like minds. You need to add people that are ready to assist you to get that dream fulfilled. Like I said, efficiency is more attained when people of like minds decide to pool resources, decide to put attributes that they have together to get some things done. So you need to add people. You need to have collective groups of people that are ready to help you get that dream fulfilled. Adding people, or having some group of people as a team member in the portions of your dream is this: more resources, more skills, more talents are being pulled or are being channeled into that particular dream. So it's more like there's more of diversity in skills in getting that dream fulfilled, instead of just when it's just you alone. So that's the beauty of adding people to it. Resources are pulled together, a lot of people are contributing his or her quotas in their own capacity to make sure that that dream becomes a reality. So you need to add people, you need to make a team, you need to combine groups of people that will make a team to get that dream fulfilled. So that is another key element in the accomplishment of your dream. Groups of people to make a team is not a sufficient element, but one of it is this: there's need for communication. Of course, we'll discover that human, in every human endeavor, we have been programmed to relate and communicate with one another, especially when you have groups of people, or when you have people aligned, or when you have people doing things together. There's tendency for misunderstanding or responsibilities to be left neglected. So there's need for communication. You need to communicate with your members. You don't just need to have people, but you need to communicate with them. Like I said, the lion, it has been discovered over time that lion, it's just one lion that spots the prey while others follow. And in the process of hunting, there's this communication that goes between them. How they do that is not, or has not been known, or is not explainable. But one thing that has been observed is this: while one eats the prey, the other is maintaining the center, another is maintaining the front, another one is at the side, another one is at the middle, just to make sure that the prey is being captured. So that is what we are trying to say, that mostly you need to communicate with the people you've decided to make your team members. communication is an element key in every human endeavor. So you need to communicate to them. You need to keep telling them about the structure and the context of that dream. Remember, they themselves they know little or less about the dream. You know more of it. So there's need for effective communication. You need to key them in. You need to analyze from time to time. You need to explain the cause of the dream to them, for them to be able to caption and for them to be able to key in into the maximization of that dream. So you need effective communication if you decide to add people as team members. Some of us makes this mistake most times. We tend to believe that since this person is part of the process in attaining that dream, you should know more, you should understand about what to do and where you need his or her help. But mostly I discovered over time that what is not said to people might not be observed or seen by the people you intend to observe or see that thing. So mostly what I'm trying to say is this: mostly there's need to always describe, there's need to always from time to time remember people what they've decided to commit themselves into. There's need to always remind them, there's need to communicate on ways how to get that things done. And this leads us to the third point. To achieve your dreams, or in the attainment or in the achievement of dreams, there is need for accuracy and cleverness in action. What do I mean by this? If you look at the lion, like I said, we'll be looking at the lion as a case study. It has been observed that the lion has less strength to cover a long distance. Research has proven that a lion only has the capacity to run as fast as 60 km per hour and to cover a distance of not more than 100 to 200 meters without a rest. Of course, this explains the reason why a lion is always key at getting his prey at the first attack. So we link this to the reality of human. You will tend to believe that mostly if you want to get things done, there's need for accuracy. Always remember that there's less opportunity, or there might not even be that opportunity to get that thing done again. A lot of people always believe that, of course, for this opportunity to come now, another one will keep coming, and because of that they decide to play accuracy in place of the expectance of another opportunity to come. But I want you to always understand something. Like they say, a wasted opportunity might be a wasted effort or a wasted lifetime in the accomplishment of that dream. So you need to grab every opportunity. You need to decide to be accurate at what you do. You need to decide to be clever. Of course, a lot of people are trying to get some things. A lot of people are running scatter, doing things they know how to do. Don't get me wrong. I am not saying diligence is not good. I'm not saying persistency and being hardworking does not pay. But mostly you need to be clever at what you do. You need to be able to deduce and get your processes and your actions right. You need to know the right activities to undertake. You need to know what to do, when to do, and how to do that thing, and not expect luck or possibly expect another opportunity to come your way. So that is what we mean by being accurate and being clever in action. Set your priorities right, define your priorities right, be accurate at what you do, and be clever in doing it, and you will see that you will be able to accomplish. The fourth element in the accomplishment of dream is to push away your ego for a reason. What do I mean by push away your ego for a reason? Like I said initially, that we are going to be considering the lion as a case study. Over time, in the feeding structure of the lion, it has been discovered that male lions don't hunt. Hunting is majorly done by the lioness. What the male do is, after the hunting and food is ready to be eaten, you just see the male lion eating first before the female lion eats. But there are several cases whereby the male lion hunts, and that would be when a male lion wants to establish dominance. The reason why the male lion don't hunt basically is because there's a certain feature in the male lion that alerts its prey when it's trying to attack the prey. So this gives less opportunities for a success if he decides to hunt. Now, that leads us to the point of taking away ego in the course of our actions. What do I mean? A lot of us need to do some activities. Over time, I hear people say, I can't do this. I'm far beyond this. This is more like ridiculing myself. This is more like looking down on myself. This is making me appear like a beggar. It appears as if I am beginning to be worthless when they have been told to do certain things that might, or that really aligned with the process of their goal being attained. You need to be ready to do what really will make that dream, or that will make that goal, or will make that aspiration a reality. If it is what you bringing yourself down. Don't get me wrong, I am not saying you need to lose your value, you need to lose your self-worth, but there are certain actions that, though they might appear like a reduction in your value system, but if that course of action or if that activity is what will guarantee your dream, or what will guarantee that goal being fulfilled, then it's worth doing it. Like they used to say, what is worth doing is worth doing well. So you just have to do it, no matter the consequence. You have to do it no matter the reduction in your value is going to lead to. In as much you are so guaranteed and so assured of the outcome of that activity leading to the accomplishment of that dream, then you have to do it. That leads us to the fifth point, which talks about recognition of limitation as well as weakness. Just as I said, we are going to be looking at the lion as a case study. Research has proven that the lion as an animal is most likely to record an high success rate when it decides to hunt in the dark rather than hunting in the day. The reason is this: in the daytime, the lion doesn't take into recognition the wind direction, and because of this alerts its supposed prey of its coming, which reduces its chances of getting that prey. So that is why mostly lions are believed to experience high success of hunting in the day than in the night, than in the day. Similarly, that leads us into the analysis of human. A lot of us needs to sit down. We need to think over our weaknesses as well as our strengths. Over time, what I've discovered is this: a lot of us make the mistake of pursuing a particular dream that doesn't align with our strengths. So you need to understand your weakness as well as understand your strengths. You need to know what is best for you to do and when it's best for you to do that thing. So many people end up doing what they do not have the strength to do, as well as some people end up doing what they are not capable of doing. Some people do not fashion in their weakness, and they decide to take on a course. They decide to undergo an activities knowing fully well that they are not equipped for what it takes to get that thing done. So you need to understand your limitation. You need to understand the situation you are faced with. You need to understand the capacity you can operate at. You need to understand what you have. You need to accept what you have and what you don't have. You should not play smartness or try to play intelligence by trying to do what you yourself you can't get done because you don't have what it takes to do. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you should not try out things. I'm not saying you should not strive to get things that might stress you to do, but there are certain limitations of human, and that is why we have diversity in human. We are not designed, like I said in my initial video, we are not designed to have all. We are not designed to possess all, but you just need to understand what you have and from what you don't have, and that will help you and guide you in helping that dream fulfilled. The sixth point of recognizing moment and be conscious. Just as the initially explained points, I talked about the weakness and limitation of the lion. It has been discovered that lion loves to hunt in group in the day due to its limitation, and it has been recorded that groups of lions that decide to hunt in the day experiences more success than when a single lion decides to hunt by its own self in the day. Similarly, as humans, having recognized your limitation as well as weakness, you need to recognize the moment to act. Just as I said initially, not every moment for every action. Every moment goes for every activity, and that is where most of us get it wrong. We just want to ascribe a particular time frame we want to get things done. We have ascribed a particular timeline that we have scheduled to get things done, and mostly things doesn't work that way. You need to understand moments. You need to understand what is best for a particular time and when it's best for that things to be done. You need to be conscious of moments. You just don't do things because you need to do that thing. You just don't take on a course because you need to get that course done. You won't just take on a course because you know it is part of the process required to get that dream fulfilled, but knowing fully whether that time of doing that thing will not help that dream in being a thing. So you need to be conscious of every moment. Recognize what works for a particular moment. Recognize what should be done in a particular time, and that will help you in getting that dream fulfilled. The second element is the readjustment of strategy. Of course, the lion being a clever animal, if it decides to hunt singly in the day, if a single lion decides to hunt in the day, it prefers to stalk its prey in the day and decides to set an ambush in the night. This is due to the initially explained weakness of not being able to understand or take into recognition the wind direction. Similarly, as human, we need to change our approach at what we're trying to do. A lot of us have this static ideology or static perception or static way of doing things. We need to realize that if taking on a particular action will not help the dream being fulfilled, if taking on a particular process is not working out, there's need for you to re-strategize at what you do. Little wonder why some dreams are left unfulfilled. So many people are always doing the same thing the same way and always expecting the same result. And like they used to say, you can never always do things the same way it has always been done and expect a different result. So at this point, you need to realize that if I've done this certain way and it's not coming forth, if it is not working the way I want it to, if this dream is not looking or appearing as if it's going to get fulfilled because of the way or the action I decide to take on, there's need for a readjustment. There's need for re-strategizing. You need to re-strategize. You need to think of how best that thing can be done if the initial process or the initial action decide not to yield. So you must be ready to re-strategize. You must be ready to improvise. You must be ready to let go of the orthodox method you've known for doing that thing. So you must be ready to improvise. You must be able to readjust yourself, just like the initial explained point in my initial video that I talked about an adjustment of the parameter and re-strategizing. So at this point, you need to be ready to let go of a process that is not working. You need to be ready to learn the new process that you see others doing and that seems to be working out. The weakness of the lion is this: the lion, while trying to get a prey, is easily distracted when it sees another prey it's interested in eating. Similarly, humans are fond of this habit. We tend to let go of our dreams just because something attractive comes our way and that might not necessarily align with the process of getting that dream fulfilled. And that leads us to the 8th point, which says consistency as against inconsistency. You need to be consistent at what you do. You need to be persistent at what you do. You can't always believe that I will do this way, at another point I won't do it again, and you expect that thing to work. You need to be ready to devote your resources, be ready to devote your time, be ready to go through that process, be ready to go through that training to get that dream fulfilled. You must be consistent at what you do. And one thing about consistency, like I said in my initial video, is this: consistency is not just doing things when it's convenient or when it's easy to be done. It's all about doing that thing even in distress, even at times that you are weak, even when you don't feel like doing it. If you show me a man that is consistent, and I will show you a man that is persistent as what he or she does. So you need to be persistent at that thing you do. You need to repeatedly and constantly keep up with the process. A lot of us, just because of the crisis, just because of the limitations that we have or that stares at us, we decide to take on an action, and at the same time we pause at another point and decide to pick it up at another point again, and things doesn't work that way. So you must be ready to persistently and consistently deal with that process. Take on that action, keep doing it. It doesn't matter if the result is popping up, it doesn't matter if anything is appearing to come out from it. You just need to be persistent and consistent. You need to be persistent, you need to be consistent in place, or as against inconsistency. It's not enough to have a dream. Another sufficient element is to have a strategy in getting that dream fulfilled. Over time, I discovered that a lot of us just have some aligned dreams. We have some aligned aspirations, but we are so clueless of how to go about getting those dreams fulfilled. So in getting a goal or a dream fulfilled, you need to understand and you need to have deduced ways you will go about that thing, ways of getting that thing done. There must be a particular strategy you've decided to adopt or you've read about or you've learned that will aid or assist you in getting that dream fulfilled. Similarly, take for instance the lion. The lion drinks less water. But one strategy that makes the lion to always have enough to eat is this. The lion, as clever as it is, goes to sleep beside the river or the stream banks, knowing fully well that animals after eating will need water to drink for digestion. And in that process, it catches its prey. So taking that into consideration, you tend to believe or you tend to accept that in getting any dreams fulfilled, you need to deduce a strategy. That strategy must be well mastered, it must be well planned, and it must be well followed. You can't always expect to do things anyhow and get a result out of it. You can't always expect to just approach any situation or approach any issues or any process without a strategized plan or without a strategy to get that thing done. So you need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy. You need to strategize. You just don't need to take on that process. You just don't need to rush at it just because you want to get it done. You need to understand and master every process and every way that thing can be done. Another element is that the approach and the strategy has to be constant for every specific task. What do I mean? In the process of getting a dream fulfilled, there are certain processes, there are certain stages, there are certain aspects of the process. And like I said, not every action works for every moment. So having understand the moment you find yourself in, having understand your strengths and your weakness, you need to also have mastered or have a constant approach or strategy you are adopting for each specific task in every stages. And that leads me to an analysis of the lion, our case study. The lion, the way it captures its kind of prey differs across the sizes of the prey. For a very small size prey, the lion eats the rear or the haunch of that prey before he decides to eat deep into the throat or bite deep into the throat of that prey, which makes the prey to be killed. But there's a different approach when it comes to a bigger prey. For instance, if the lion is trying to get an elephant, as huge and wide an elephant is, what the lion do is it decide not to adopt the same approach it has used for the small prey. What it does is this: it jumps on the back of that big animal. The reason why it's jumping on the back of the big animal is because of the lion believes it has more weight to suppress or kill down the strength of that animal. So by so doing, it's able to bite onto the vertebra of that animal or that prey it's trying to get. So as human too, if we decide to follow this step, you will come to accept with me that you need to have mastered the approach and the steps in each stages or required for each stages. You need to constantly stick to that step. You need to constantly stick to that approach. The mere fact that a system, the mere fact that an action is not working is not a sufficient reason to let that action or that step go. The fact that you've tried it or several people have tried it and it has failed over time is not a sufficient reason to let go. You need to repeatedly and constantly, remember I talked about consistency, you need to be consistent about that process. You need to keep following that process. It doesn't matter, even when you decide to take on the process, things are not appearing to be real, things are not appearing to produce something positive. You just need to believe in that process. You need to stick to that process. You need to stick to that strategy. You need to constantly follow that approach in getting that dream fulfilled. Remember, you can't drop a particular aspect and follow another aspect and expect to pick up that aspect at another point and expect things to work or continue to work where you stop. So you need consistency in that approach. And like I said in my initial video, one thing about inconsistency, it brings about readjustment. Meaning, the moment you decide to drop an aspect or decide to drop a step or a process for another step, what happens is this: the mind, the soul, goes through a readjustment process whenever you decide to come back to follow that process. Meaning, you can't pick the process up from where you abandon it. There's always a start over again from where you drop it. So you need to constantly follow and stick to that approach for that specific task to get that dream. Lastly, you need to be hungry and greedy in your chase. What I'm trying to say is this: you need to be hungry at getting that dream fulfilled. You need to consistently keep chasing after getting that dream fulfilled. A male lion is believed to eat or consume 7.5 kilogram of food per day, and a female lion is believed to consume 4.5 kg of food per day. That defines the extent of hunger, and that is why if any lion is chasing a prey and it sees another prey, it tends to abandon that prey for that other prey. There's hunger, and that is what drives them in making sure that they get the prey no matter what it takes. So as humans, we need to be hungry at what you do. You need to be ready to chase that dream. There must be this urge, this need for urgency to get that dream fulfilled. And when you do that, you will come to realization of that dream. You will see that that dream is not just an illusion. It's not just an hallucination, but something that can be brought to reality. Remember, we talked about the element of getting dreams fulfilled. We talked about teamwork. You need to add people that matters to you. You need to add groups of people to that dream. I'm not saying you can't do it alone, like I said in my initial videos. But what I'm just trying to say is this: adding people to it empowers you. It brings in more resources needed to get that dream fulfilled. We also talked about communication. I said the mere fact that you have groups of people, you have people as your team members in the process of your dream, you should expect a misunderstanding or some misconception. So there's need to communicate that dream to them. And also remember, they were not the one that caught the dream. It's an ideology of you. It's something you perceive. It's something you receive. So you need you need effective communication to make them serious, to equip them and position them to see things the way you see it, so that they can help you in getting that dreams. We also spoke about understanding your limitation as well as your weakness. You need to master and you need to know what you have strength at and where you are weak at. This will go a long way in helping you achieve your dream. And we also talked about recognizing moments and being conscious. We also talked about maintaining a constant approach as well as strategy for every specific task. And we also look at about being consistent as against inconsistency. Similarly, we also considered being hungry in the chase. If you can put in all these elements, you will see that that dream is something that can be brought to reality.